Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Along the Way podcast. My name is Lydia Kyle, and I am so glad that you are here. You guys, thank you for coming back every single week for the Along the Way podcast. Like, genuinely, truly, whether you are new and you are watching on YouTube, if you didn't know, we are on YouTube now. I say we, it's literally just me. Although I do have a sponsor this season. So again, if you're new here, this season, season 3 of the Along the Way podcast is sponsored by Inappropriate Trucker Hats. So if you're watching on YouTube, every single episode, every single recording, I have on a different Inappropriate Trucker hat. So if you're listening on Spotify or you're listening on Apple, you need to head on over to YouTube. You need to hit subscribe. You need to leave comments, but you also need to see what Inappropriate Trucker hat I'm wearing. I love Inappropriate Trucker hats. They are varying levels of inappropriateness. Most of mine are fairly G or PG rated, but they're hilarious. They're great conversation starters. The one that I'm wearing today is actually my favorite because the old guys love it. Okay, if I wear this hat out in public, the old men, they love it. I always get compliments from old men in the least creepy way possible on this hat. So, as always, check the description of this episode. Whether you're listening or you're watching, you can get a discount code Lydia25 for Inappropriate Trucker hats. The link to the website is also right there. You'll get 25% off your order. Plus, they have more than just trucker hats, or you can make custom trucker hats. So, without any further ado, let's jump in to this next episode of the Along the Way podcast. I'll be completely honest, I don't know how long this episode's going to be. It could be pretty short because I think I can get to the point pretty quickly. But it's important and it needed its own episode. Like, I didn't want to just weave this in to a different episode. Like, I didn't want it to just be a footnote to an episode because it's actually really, really important. It's a really important topic. I would say it's even more important if you have teenagers. It's important for us as individuals, as adults, but if you have teenagers or you are a young adult, this is even more important for you because we're talking about social media literacy today. And you're probably like, wait, what? Like, why would you have to be literate at social media? Like, I know how to read. No. Social media literacy is being able to understand social media for what it is. And I think probably the most common way to talk about this is saying, like, well, social media is a highlight reel. It's just a highlight reel of people's lives. Yes, that's true. That's true. Although I do know some people that probably should not share some of their not highlights on social media. Local Facebook pages. Those are some real life reality television. Have y'all ever thought about that? Not to digress into a side quest here, but like, have you ever thought about like what's going through someone's mind when they're on their Facebook page and really the only people that are on their Facebook page are their friends and family, and they make some like long-winded statement about how their spouse cheated on them or how their sister stole $1,000 from them. Like, I run that through my mind, and frankly, I would rather die than put that on social media. But I I don't know, like I can't wrap my head around like why that would be your course of action. Like, are you trying to embarrass them? Because if so, that's not actually working. It's just embarrassing you as well. Like, why? And here's the thing that cracks me up about, again, I'm on a side quest. Hang there with me. When you do that, when you post things like that on social media, more often than not, people reconcile. So it's like you put all of your business on social media. You put all, like, listen, if your spouse cheats on you, it's your decision how you want to handle that. I know how I would handle it, but it's your decision how you want to handle that. If you want to reconcile, reconcile. But like, if you put it on social media for the whole town to see, like, you're never going to live that down. Like, you're never going to live that down. Okay, anyway, I digress. So, where was I? Oh, right. Social media is a highlight reel, unless you're the kind of person who puts your dirty laundry out on social media. But for most people, it's pretty curated. Even your average everyday bear is curating their social media. And curating essentially just means that, like, you're making it look a certain way. You're making yourself look a certain way. You're making your life look a certain way. You're curating. Okay, that's content creator speak. So I've been incredibly transparent with you guys all the time. And again, if you're a new listener, season 1 and season 2 of the Along the Way podcast are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So like if you're watching on YouTube, hi, I'm so glad you're here. It is very weird for me to like look at a camera and talk because a lot of times I'm all over the place. But season 1 and season 2 are audio recordings on Spotify and Apple. But I've talked a lot about being a content creator in the sense that, how do you be transparent? How do you grow on social media? How do you protect your kids on social media? I have an entire episode about keeping your kids off of social media. That is also part of the dirty laundry. Like, people don't really need to know that your kid wrecked their car and got an MIP. Like, people don't need to know that. Protect your kids' privacy. But this little green light's shining in my eye. So I talk a lot about it. Curating your content is normal. It's not just content creators that are curating their platform. I would venture to guess that you are doing the same thing. You're just doing it subconsciously because you don't want to share it all. Okay? Social media literacy is understanding that that's the case. But not so much for your friend who lives down the road. Okay, I don't necessarily feel that you need to have a ton of social media literacy when it comes to knowing that your neighbor down the road maybe actually isn't living the life that they're presenting on social media. I don't actually think that that's super important. I think that's just like keeping up with the Joneses. Like, that's just really not that vital. Where it is vital is when it comes to understanding marketing on social media, the way that you're being sold on social media, and the way that everything is not as it seems. So I'm going to use like a really, really layman example. Okay. And this is like stupid simple. Okay. But this is something that just happened. I know these don't get released until later, but this literally just came out. So today is September 11th, which means the presidential debate was last night. Right before the first presidential debate, the lead singer of a very popular band came out and said that he's having he has had another child. He has been blessed with a new daughter. ... outside of his marriage. Okay? Social media literacy is being able to look at that statement that says, okay, when Dave Grohl, that's who it was, when Dave Grohl says, I have welcomed a new daughter into my life, ... outside of my marriage, social media literacy is having enough common sense to look at that and go, so you cheated on your wife. Like, so you cheated on your wife. Like, you're wanting us to focus on the fact that you've had a child. Congratulations. That child was born into a very wealthy family, but albeit apparently dysfunctional because you cheated on your wife of 23 years, I think. So, like, social media literacy, and I know that's kind of like, it's not funny because it's someone's life, but like, that example of social media literacy boils down to what's actually happening. Okay, Dave Grohl can go on social media, make a public statement saying that I welcomed a new child into my life. Yay me. But by the way, that child was born outside of my marriage, which means that I cheated on my wife of 23 years. Okay, social media literacy is being able to look at that. Here's a less blatant example of that. A less blatant example of social media literacy is that especially celebrities, they do not need to be transparent about their likes and dislikes. Okay, me as a small content creator, and I consider myself to be small potatoes in the grand scheme of things. I need to be pretty transparent. Okay, I can't really tell you that a product is great if the product is actually terrible, because at the end of the day, that'll probably come back and bite me in the butt. Okay, but celebrities don't have to have that kind of accountability. They're celebrities. They don't have to have that level of accountability. An example that recently came up in popular media, there is she's now a content creator. Okay, she's now a content creator. She was originally, she still is, a model, like a high fashion, New York Fashion Week, walking the Paris runway model. Okay, and she's married to a very famous model as well. She started creating content on social media, and it's very aesthetic. It's very eye appealing. It's very pleasing. It's very beautiful to look at. And in a lot of ways, you can watch that and go, oh my gosh, I wish I could make toothpaste from scratch. Could you make toothpaste from scratch? Yes, you could. You could make toothpaste from scratch if you wanted to. Is that realistic? I don't know. I guess it depends on your lifestyle. But this content creator, her name is Nara Smith. She does an amazing job at editing and curating and presenting things to make it look very, very simple. When in reality, it's not actually very simple. Why isn't it simple? Well, she has 3 kids. What are those 3 kids doing while she's filming this immaculate content? They're probably with a caregiver. So could you make homemade toothpaste? Yeah, you probably could, but your kids are going to be screaming in the background. So it's not going to look like when Nara Smith does it. Another example of this is Ballerina Farms. Ballerina Farms came under some like heavy fire, heavy artillery, because of a publication that came out in the Times, not the New York Times, the Times. They did an expose, so to speak, on Ballerina Farms, which is a couple in Utah. They are Mormon, and they kind of present a certain lifestyle. You have to keep in mind that they are millionaires. So how are they able to do all of these things? How are they able to support their family on this very niche agricultural endeavor? Well, his dad owns JetBlue, the airline company. That's how. And regardless of how you feel about them as individuals, I'm sure they're very nice people. But that's social media literacy, is being able to look at the things that you're being shown on social media and go, that's actually been set up that way. Okay? And I do it in my content too. I'm not even going to front with you. I curate my content as well. There's reasons why I film in certain locations in my house. There's reasons why you don't see that my floorboards are dirty. There's reasons why you don't see that my washing machine is covered in dirt. Like, there's reasons why you don't see those parts of my life, because that's just it's curated. I don't want to show that to you, so I'm not going to show it to you. I'm going to show you what I want to show you. That's social media literacy. It's kind of like reality television. Okay, it's kind of like reality television. So millennials, we were really the first generation to have reality television. And when reality television first happened, it was pretty obvious, at least in my opinion. When reality television first happened, in my opinion, it was pretty darn obvious that it was fake. Like, because it wasn't good. It was pretty bad, honestly. I just remember like some of the original like dating shows. Like, raise your hand if you watched Flavor of Love with Flava Flav. That was a great one. Rock of Love with Bret Michaels. That was a great one as well. MTV. Shout out to MTV for putting out some of probably the best dating shows. I've never even seen an episode of The Bachelor, but I've probably seen every episode of Flava Flav and Bret Michaels dating absolute characters of women. I digress. When reality television became a thing, it was pretty obvious what it was. Now, I would say that reality television is actually not that easy to decipher. Like, it's reality television, but it's so curated and it's so well done that it's very hard to distinguish what's real and what's not real. And the bottom line is that reality television is not real. So an example of this, I'm giving a lot of examples, but I'm trying to like connect the dots, right? I want us to take our 2 brain cells and rub them together here. An example of this would be Selling Sunset. Selling Sunset is a really, really popular Netflix reality TV show. I liked to watch it a couple years ago. I think it was the first season that it came out. I was either pregnant or I had a newborn. I really enjoyed watching Selling Sunset. But as you're watching Selling Sunset, they're giving you a certain aesthetic. Okay, they're all driving Lamborghinis and Porsches, and they're all wearing designer clothes, and they all live in beautiful houses, and they all have these relationships with wealthy people, and yada, yada, yada. Bottom line, that's not real. That's not what actually is happening. Okay? They're going through divorces, they're having affairs, they're not living in these beautiful houses that they want you to think that they're living in. That's all part of the production. It's a production. And it's nothing against the actors on the show, but they're actors. They are acting. They're being told what situation they're going to be put in and how they need to react to that situation. The reason why I think this is important, okay, not just for our own awareness. The reason why I think this is important. One, if you are raising teenagers, I don't think that teenagers have as much social media literacy as, say, millennials and Gen Z. I think millennials and Gen Z, maybe it's because we were in the rise of reality television and the rise of social media, maybe we can see through the facade a little bit better. Some of us better than others. There are some of y'all who get on social media and like throw an absolute ever-loving pity party because you don't live like Ballerina Farms does. Well, your daddy doesn't own JetBlue. Like, calm down. That's why. All right, but some of y'all can't connect those dots. So I hope that maybe now you can connect those dots, right? I know it's funny to talk about Dave Grohl. Well, it's not funny because it's a person, but to me it's kind of funny that Dave Grohl thought it would be a good idea to say, dot, 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 out of wedlock. Like, dude, you cheated on your wife, okay? It's funny to talk about those things, but there are a lot of y'all that are logging into social media and you're playing the comparison game. Why isn't my life like theirs? Why am I not able to do that? Why don't I have that many followers? Why doesn't my kitchen that clean? Okay, well, the shot of that kitchen is on purpose. You should see what's happening behind the camera. All right? Like, you can't tell that their floors are sticky. Okay? So some of y'all do need to kind of wrap your head around that social media literacy. But I do think that millennials and Gen Z are a little bit better at it. Generation Alpha is growing up in a world where social media and social media marketing is just a fact. Like, it's unavoidable. It's absolutely unavoidable. They're going to be marketed to. Like, we were marketed to by infomercials and Nickelodeon ads, that had the number. Like, if you call right now, not only are you going to get one of these art kits, you're going to get two of these art kits. And we're going to throw in a slime maker. Like, that's the type of marketing that we were pandered. Okay, that's what was pandered to us, was like, call 1-800-6, like, whatever. Okay, it was pretty straightforward that you were being sold to. They wanted you to buy something. The younger generation, they're not going to get that. They're going to get very subliminal marketing. They're going to get ghost marketing. They're going to get influencer marketing. They're going to get, kids who have 500,000 followers on social media telling them that if they start using their skincare by the time they're 10 years old, they're going to be beautiful. Okay, that's the type of marketing that these kids are going to be getting because that's the world that we live in. We need to be teaching them social media literacy. We need to be teaching them about social media in a way that makes them literate when it comes to viewing curated content, not even just in regards to being sold to, in regards to real life. Depression rates, I saw a quote. I don't know who the quote is by. I don't know if it was just something that someone posted and then it got turned into a quote, or if it was something that it was a valid quote by someone with an education. But it essentially said that when you want a child's childhood to end, give them a smartphone. And that's the world that we live in. So depression rates in children on social media skyrocket as soon as they start to interact on social media. Depression and suicide rates in young children right now is staggering. You will not lie to me and tell me that it's not directly correlated to social media. And the fact that the lives that are being presented on social media are a highlight reel. We have to teach them about this. We have to teach them that what they're seeing is not an actual representation of what that person's life is. Even the most transparent content creator is choosing what to show you. Even the most, listen, there are people that I follow on social media that are so quote unquote real. They're brash, they're crass, they're loud, they say what they want and how they want, and they don't care who it offends, and they're going to rub everyone the wrong way. They don't need social media. They don't care how many followers they have, but guess what? They have followers. Why? Part of that is curated. Part of that is curated. They're not showing you the days that they're struggling with depression. They're not, or maybe they are, but you get my point. You get my point. The other reason why I think this is important, and I think this is kind of where I'm going to leave it, this, because I think this is important. And I am going to do an episode specifically about this, not in regards to social media, but in regards to this particular topic. Social media influencers and celebrities are paid by both sides during an election. During an election, social media influencers, actors, singers, celebrities are paid to influence you to believe that they are voting a certain way for certain reasons. But the bottom line is that you don't actually know who they're voting for. That's not public record. It is not public record who someone votes for. So they can tell you all day long that you need to vote for this, you need to do that, you need to, put your weight behind these particular values. That's not necessarily accurate representation of what they actually believe. You need to make your own decisions. Don't trust influencers and celebrities to tell you how to vote. Okay? And I will do an entire episode. I'm going to do an entire episode about how to maintain relationships and friendships during an election year, and after an election, because here's the deal. Someone's going to lose. Someone is, you hear me, I'm tapping the mic. Someone is going to lose the election. Don't know who it is yet, but one of them will lose. So how do you maintain relationships after? Because one side will lose. Okay, it's hard to maintain friendships up until that point, but wait until you have a winner and a loser. Then it's going to get really weird. Okay, so I am going to do an entire episode about how to maintain friendships when you have different political views and during a presidential election and after a presidential election. I will do an episode about that. But the bottom line that I want to leave you with today is that during an election year, people are being paid to tell you certain things. People are being paid to use their influence to influence you to vote a certain way. Each side is doing it. I'm not saying that the individual themselves, I'm not saying that Donald Trump or Kamala Harris are doing it themselves. I'm saying that both sides of the aisle find it in their best interest to use popular media and celebrities to influence you, and they will do it. Have enough social media literacy to look at everything through that lens. This has been curated. This has been put forward for a reason, and this is meant to influence me in one way or another. We have to look at social media through that lens every single day, or it will control us and it will ruin our lives. And I know that's dramatic, but I genuinely feel that way. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Along the Way podcast, you guys. I hope that you liked this enough to hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button, whether you're listening or you're watching. And if you really liked it, leave a 5-star review, leave a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment, and share this or reach out to me. You can get in my DMs. You can find my contact information in the description of every episode. You can send me a DM and say, hey, I really like that episode, or hey, I wish you would have talked about this, or, hey, I really hated that episode. I want to know what you guys are thinking because it really helps me. That's the only way that I get any type of direction. And I want to know what you guys are saying. So if you do share this on social media, tag me because I would love to see what you guys are saying. And I will see you back next week. Thank you to our sponsors, Inappropriate Trucker Hats. You guys go into the description. Just check out their website. Support a small American business. Give them your support. Even if you just click the link and visit their website. But there is a code for 25% off in the description of this episode. I will see you guys next week.